I'm Estella Adeyeri. I play guitar in Charmpit and I play bass in Big Joanie. We were hosting the Charmpit kind of album launch party. Obviously, because of COVID-19, we couldn't have our normal like in-person gig album launch. So we decided like the day of the album release, we'd do like an online party instead. So with Charmpit, our band's like fronted by two queer women. So we have like quite a lot of like queer listeners to our music and people who tuned in. It's always been quite important for us to like have our performance spaces as like safe spaces and places where people feel like they can be themselves. We were all dressed up, there were a lot of wigs involved, so it was like quite a fun thing. We were just like playing through the album tracks, chatting between about like what all the songs were about, a couple of parents on there and people in different time zones and stuff. And then, yeah, all of a sudden, like, I think one of the Zoom bombers used like the screen share feature to share like all this like racist stuff. It kept saying like the N-word loads, and there were a lot of trolls on the call, and it was a bit confusing. So my bandmate Rihanna had been the Zoom host, and she had obviously gone to try and remove the trolls from the conversation. But because they were coming in at such a rate, she like couldn't keep up with the amount that was literally like flooding our Zoom call. So in the end, she closed the whole thing because she was like, I can't obviously manage it, and we didn't want to have the other people on the call subjected to all of that kind of stuff any more than they needed to be. So she closed the call. And then we tried to just restart the event using Instagram Live instead. It wasn't quite the same, but at least there was like another platform. I think it was just like quite shocking. Yeah, just like kind of did put a bit of a downer because like it had been such a positive and like friendly and welcoming space up until then. And I think it's something that a lot of people said they really like needed at a time like this when things have been so like bleak and a bit confusing and dark, and you feel like you're not in control and stuff. I'd wanted to have just like one space to kind of like bring people together and do something that was like fun and lighthearted, and then it had to be like ruined by this sort of like malicious thing. So yeah, that was really like disappointing. I hadn't even heard of Zoom bombing till literally like 30 minutes before. It actually just happened to be on a Zoom call with your organisation, Good Night Out campaign board. But and yeah, so that was the first time I'd heard of it. Someone mentioned that it was a thing that had happened, and that it was in a Guardian article. We're not like a big band or anything, so like who's going to be sitting at home like looking to like crash our like 30-minute album that like hardly anyone's heard of. So it's just like, what? It did sound like as well, like specifically POC have been targeted for these kind of things. People in online recovery meetings have been targeted by it. It seems like a lot of queer people are being targeted as well. Like I know Alok, if you've seen them on Instagram, they mentioned being targeted and they're queer POC. So yeah, it's like upsetting to think that these people are out there specifically targeting marginalised people. And it made me feel like, oh, were we targeted because like I'm obviously a POC on that call, so they were like, oh, we can share this racist stuff there. So it's quite dark, really. We're all really into the fact that with Zoom it could be so interactive. Like you could have all these people on the call, and even though like we'd had it so most people were like muted, so that was why it was like a silent disco. But being able to like see like loads of people, it's kind of like the closest we've been able to get to recreating that community feeling you get like at a gig, where it's like, oh, you can see all your friends are there, and you can see your like dad's tuned in from California to like have a look at what's going on and all that stuff. And it's really nice to have that kind of interaction when a lot of people are very isolated right now. It's really important that Zoom like doesn't underestimate this and actually takes some action that we can see and it's like tangible. Basically, they hadn't said that this was a thing that could happen, that people just join calls and troll you, and that they can find your meeting that has this completely random number and just troll you. I think they do have a responsibility to their users, and it can't just all be placed on the individual.